Alright, in this video I will be doing a review and sort of a demonstration of this Meguiar's drill activated polishing system, not a paid promotion. And one thing I'd point out is that before doing any of the polishing, the entire vehicle was equally cleaned. So some of the things I got with it are the compounding pads. It came with one polish pad, so I didn't have to buy that. I already had a DeWalt drill. This is sort of my older corded drill, so it works well. This is the actual drill activated power system. You see when I turn it, it doesn't just spin straight, it actually is random orbitals, which allows it to move both in circles and sort of up and down. The red pad and the compounding paste go together, the yellow pad and the polish go together. I picked up the liquid wax. I didn't get the special pad for it, I just did that by hand, and then I also picked up some plastic revitalizer. So for this, I'm going to do one of the doors on the passenger side, and I'm going to do the rear door. So I'll leave the front door as is, and I'll just work on this rear door since it's a little bit smaller, a little bit faster to do. It is pretty sunny out today, but it's not a hot day, which is something to keep in mind. If it's really hot out, the compound and the polish seem to dry a little bit faster on the door, and then it comes harder to wipe off. So anyway, that's what the door looks like to start with. For this drill activated power tool system, just slides into the drill like a drill bit and you tighten it up. You do need to hold the handle when you're working this, so you can't just use the drill hand, otherwise it'll spin freely. And you can see it's got that random orbital motion. The one thing I would note is that the actual pad spins a lot slower than the drill, so your drill needs to be able to achieve a pretty high RPM to get that pad to actually spin fairly quickly. There must be some sort of gearing that makes the pad spin slower than the drill itself. For the compounding paste, just spray it on the pad, then do a couple dabs on the area you're going to use the compounding formula, and then work it in a small section. I would say for the most part I did about 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet each time I added compound to the pad, and tried to find sort of natural breaks in the door or in the frame. I also tried to go over the compounding area in two different planes, so up and down, back and forth kind of thing, and then take a microfiber cloth and wipe it off. What I found was you need about 6 microfiber cloths for each of the paste types, so 12 in total, because they do get saturated with the compound or with the polish, and then they just don't wipe the compound and polish off very well after that. So having a bunch on hand is helpful, and if you're going to do this over a day or over 2 days, you could also wash everything in between. That is also an option if you didn't want to have too many microfiber cloths. So one more time with the compounding paste, wipe it off and make sure all the compounding paste is off before moving on to the polish. And you can see the difference already between the door that was done with the compounding paste and the door that wasn't. The application of the polish is exactly the same as the application of the compounding paste. Put a generous amount on the pad, give it a couple dabs in the area where you're going to do the polishing, and then polish the area. So again, back and forth, up and down, ensuring that you cover all of the areas. And then once it's being applied, give it a second, and then take a different microfiber cloth from the one that you used with the compounding formula and wipe off the polish. And then you just repeat that process several more times. As far as the amount of product you need, I used 1 full container of the compound and 1 full container of the polish. I didn't need as much of the wax, and I also didn't use very much of that plastic restoration compounds. So you will need the full bottle, and you probably won't be able to do your vehicle twice. Once again, after the polish is on, give it a wipe down. For the longevity of those buffer pads, I did wash them a couple times. The red pad is still going strong, but the polish pad died after I finished this vehicle, so the pad only lasted 1 vehicle. And what happened to the polishing pad is that the Velcro and the actual foam piece separated, and I had to throw that out. Those pads cost $20 for 2 where I'm at here in Canada, so it's not cheap necessarily to run through pads. Next up is the Meguiar's Ultimate Liquid Wax, and I did not buy the foam pads for the drill attachment, so I'm doing it by hand. I think that those would probably be a waste of $20 because quite frankly the wax goes on pretty easily and it's pretty quick to do. All I'm doing is squirting the wax on the little pad that comes with the wax and rubbing it on the door, making sure there's full coverage. After 10 minutes, come in with the microfiber cloth and wipe it down. I left the door open for the waxing process so that it wasn't facing the sun. Again, you don't want necessarily your vehicle in the sun or for it to get too hot, and because it's a black door, obviously it can get pretty hot. Even though it is sort of late in the afternoon and it's not an overly hot day. And just like with the polish and the compound, you do need a fresh microfiber towel to wipe off all the wax, and you may need to switch microfiber towels once or twice throughout the process because obviously this one will get saturated with wax and you will not be wiping very much off the door after that. Overall, I think the drill attachment is pretty good. It works fairly quickly and it's much better than going by hand. I think it's a good tool for somebody that would do this once a year, but obviously if you're a professional, I wouldn't think that it's the tool for you, but it does do a good job for what it is, and I think it's good for sort of a hobbyist. So a couple shots of the old door and the new door, and I didn't actually show myself rubbing the plastic restorer on, but you can see from the running board and you can see from the mud flap that it did actually a really good job taking the white haze out of the plastic pieces. Overall, pretty happy with the product. I think there's other options out there, but this is a good one, especially if you already have a drill and you didn't want to get another dedicated tool. Thanks for checking out my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe.